Hey guys, it's Ilya Red here, and this time I've got something special to talk about. It's about new old tier 10 Chinese heavy tank WZ-111 5A. This tank was planned as a tier 10 Chinese heavy tank back then, but it was considered too overpowered at that time, and instead we got 113. And this tank was forgotten for a few years, and now there are rumors that it can actually come to our game. Whether it's going to be a replacement of 113 or some premium for global map or something else, it's not really known yet. What is known, however, that this tank is on super test. So don't judge by these numbers yet, they can all change, but we can grab some general idea of what this tank is. First of all, it clearly resembles the WZ-111 Model 1.4, well, no surprise, and it has 140mm upper plate armor. For comparison, IS-7 has 150, and this 140 upper plate armor gives like 260 to 280 up to 300 of effective armor to the very sides of upper plate when you stand straight to the enemy. But if you turn just a little, if you are not looking right at the enemy, then the upper plate effective armor falls to 250, 260, which means that tier 10 tanks could penetrate you just in the upper plate. Also, there is a weak spot right in the middle of the upper plate, its driver's hatch, and the effective armor there is like 210, so it's paper. And that spot isn't that small at all, not hard to hit it. Lower plate is paper, you can poke it through with a fork. So overall, the front of the hull can barely be called reliable. Turret is very cool as usual, 300 in the front, but there are two huge hatches, hard to miss in close combat. And they aren't armored at all. Some kind of T10 turret, which is okay on medium distance, but is not much of a problem in close combat to the enemy. But unlike T10 and Object 140, the roof of the turret itself is okay, it's not as thin. Only hatches are the weak spots. The side armor of this tank isn't something breathtaking or heat-tanking. It's only 80mm, just as much as Soviet mediums or American heavies have. There is only a line of spaced armor above the track, just like IS-3 has, so just shoot the lower part of the side, shoot through the track. It's so thin that you will penetrate it anyway. So if you angle your tank, like if you play this tank, if you angle your tank just a tiny bit, you already get penetrated through the track wheel. At almost any angle on tier 10. And if there are several enemies in front of you, you'll need to keep turning your tank with the front to every enemy who's going to shoot next. So I would say this tank has pseudo armor. It will bounce something off sometimes, but you can never rely on it. Most of the time it will take damage, and you don't have such a big amount of hit points, 2200. Well, IS-7, Object 260 and Kranwagen are a bit sad about it still. Now we come to the sweetest part, the gun. 130mm gun, which really looks like IS-7 gun. 490 alpha, yay! 0.39 accuracy, 3.2 aiming time, which is probably okay for such an alpha. And bare reload, without gun rammer, without anything, 9.5 seconds. 9.5. IS-7 is gonna hang itself. So if you install gun rammer, ventilation, maybe brothers in arms and food, although food is not recommended in the Chinese heavies, usually, you know, fire problems. But if you do, you'll have 490 alpha with a reload of 8 and a bit seconds, maybe around 8. Bare DPM is 3100, you can boost it well over 3500, holy cow. And you know what? This thing looks like typical Soviet Chinese heavy, but it also has 10 degrees of gun depression. 10. Are you kidding? Soviet and Chinese heavies sometimes have problems when face-hugging with someone, because they can't depress gun to the weak spots of the enemy. Well, this guy will just rape you with its DPM, even if you face-hug. In order to compensate that, the penetration of the main round is only 244, which in combination with poor accuracy and aiming time really sucks. Well, it's just like IS-7 gun, but even with less penetration. If the penetration stays at this level, we will simply see a huge gap between those who fire standard AP and those who fire heat. You know, like the old E100 with 235 penetration. E100 with AP wasn't really scary. E100 with Heat was a big boss back then. I see something similar here. Golden Heat with 340 penetration solves all the problems and helps to out-DPM any tank. The reload of 111 5A with bigger alpha is smaller than of 113. So 113, current Chinese tier 10 heavy, has smaller alpha and longer reload than this tank. That's something interesting, you know. Now to the mobility. 15 horses per ton and 50 km/h max speed, which it won't gather obviously. 111 5A is just a little slower than 113. 113 has just over 16.5 horses per ton, and this one has 15 horses per ton, as I said. So, to summarize, we have pseudo armor, which won't work in practice as I see it. To me, it looks like almost paper. Just like Object 260, you know, which is kinda IS-7, has similar numbers, but everyone penetrates it easily. We have here crazy DPM, we have low penetration, but we should expect this tank to fire gold at us, or we're probably going to fire gold if we play this tank. Great gun depression, which is very unusual for a tank of such a construction, and we have pretty okay mobility. Please take into account that this is only a super test, everything can change, and I hope they change it. I think bad armor and great DPM kinda compensate each other, but DPM is still too good in my opinion. Personally, I would cut its DPM so that it doesn't exceed the DPM of 113, so much at least. And maybe then it could get not 80 but 100mm of side armor, because 80mm really sounds like a disaster. Especially because like Soviet Chinese tracks, well, they look thinner than American tracks. Leave your opinion about this tank in the comments, propose your ways to balance this tank. What would you change in it? Thank you for watching guys, and goodbye.